Well, I want to begin by expressing my condolences to the family. Um, What a beautiful girl she was. And if there are many things in this life worse than having to bury your own child, I'm not sure what they are. And it's unfortunate to see the animosity that's been on display here. Because there are no winners here, everyone's losing. And based on what I've seen, everyone's hurting. So I agree with this young man's mother. I'm not here to judge him. I'm here to judge what happened. I'm here to judge what needs to be done for the protection of the community, for his care, for his rehabilitation. And I agree with counsel. Young men in particular have been driving fast since cars were invented, probably. And people in their teens and early 20s, and I don't see that many women involved with this. People are trying to demonstrate their manliness, testosterone, you could call it whatever you like. And in addition to that, I think one thing we all know is how impulsive young people are. And people in their late teens, early 20s, like yourself, frequently do not consider the consequences of their actions. And I also give some significant weight to the fact that you've never been in trouble before. Frankly, it's not that unusual in people. It is fairly unusual in people that come before me. I have been a judicial officer in Milwaukee for 22 years. I was born and raised in Brown Deer. I've been down 76th Street thousands of times in my life. I know what it was like when I was young. I know what it's like now. And it's not good. This is one of the worst places in the world to operate a motor vehicle, not just this country. I have been watching day after day. I've seen so many vehicles in houses, in trees, upside down, you name it. And it wasn't always like that in this community. I've been in more than one felony rotation. And until the last one that began about 3 years ago, I had never seen the volume of bad driving cases that we currently experience in this community. I don't have all the answers to that. And certainly, in some ways, this is less aggravated in terms of it's not a 20-mile case where the police are trying to pull you over. It's not an intentional act. In other words, I see many cases where people are driving at other people or pedestrians with the intent to run them over. And we had a recent, very famous example of that preceding the events in Waukesha. It's insufficient to say that it was nothing but an accident. Do I think he had intent to harm someone? No, I don't. But anyone driving, and I don't care if it was 105, 95, 85, it was in that range. And I'm sorry, no one is going to convince me that you were going 60 miles an hour down 76th Street. In fact, the vehicle's own equipment indicated over 100 miles an hour 4 seconds before impact. And I think anyone can look at the photos of this vehicle. This vehicle was obliterated. What's fortunate here is that there aren't 4 dead people, not one. It doesn't make the loss of this young lady any less tragic. But that's the kind of danger that you created by deciding to drive at that rate of speed on a street with a 40-mile-an-hour limit. And it's almost inevitable that you're going to hit somebody. People don't have time to react when a car's coming down that street at the rate of speed you were traveling. And it's ridiculous to imply that the people in the other vehicle bear some responsibility for this event. They don't. I am troubled by some of the things I've heard this afternoon about what's going on between then and now. But I'm not going to hold those against you because they didn't come from you, to my knowledge. I understand why people are upset that there was no expression of sympathy but your lawyer's right. There's a no contact order. Now, I don't know what's gone on the social media, and frankly, I don't want to know. But there was a legal no contact order issued by the court. There should not have been contact initiated, even for good purposes, by anyone associated with you or your family. I am not reading this. I am not concluding that you had zero remorse here, as a pre-sentence writer did. I don't believe you're putting on a show here. And I think we have to take a step back here and understand someone's never been in jail in their whole life, albeit a short life. To sit in the county jail for 394 days is not nothing. And I don't have any reason to doubt if you indicate that you contemplated suicide at some point. It's a relatively common occurrence, I believe, for people to get locked up like that, especially those who've never been in that situation before, especially those who've never gotten themselves put in a courtroom before, either as a juvenile or an adult. On the other hand, I think there was a reason to expect more from you here. Based on what your mother's described here as you being a good student, and you certainly present yourself, you don't present yourself like a criminal here. So I don't find this a situation where you're beyond rehabilitation. But this was a completely avoidable situation. And you can see, if you listen to people today, the way a tragedy like this ripples through both families. It's not just their family, it's your family as well. But obviously, as indicated, you can still be called. You can still be spoken to. You can still be visited while you're in prison. There is nothing left for them with regard to this beautiful young lady. And based on what I've seen and heard, she had an awful lot of potential. And we don't know what she might have grown up to be. And we're never going to know. And so in that sense, you took something not just from their family, you took it from the whole community. Because we need young people, we rely on young people as the basis for our future. And far too many of them are having their lives snuffed out in this community based on bad driving and other acts of violence. And I do think it's important that there be a message of deterrence that goes out. I'm not a huge fan of general deterrence, but because I'm not sure how effective it always is. But on the other hand, It's important that the proper message go out to the community that this is not some kind of minimal event, and that because you haven't been in trouble before, we're not going to address it that seriously. So, and I don't know who's watching on the live stream as well, but I was so impressed by the letter filed by this young lady's teacher and the way that they honored her. It really, as a parent, it chokes me up. So I do believe that you can still be a success in this life. I am not judging you as a person, but the events here are extremely serious and completely avoidable. And I am also disturbed by the statements that were made that you had a habit of driving fast. What is the rush to get to an ATM? There is none. And the weaving in and out of traffic, which I experience myself coming back and forth to work every day. I often wonder, why is everybody's time more important than mine? The people want to take you on the right, weave in and out, cut you off, and certainly don't react. You might be looking at gunfire. So it's a situation that's gotten completely out of control. That doesn't mean that you have to bear the brunt of that totality, but it does, to me, speak to the fact that a proper message has to be sent. And so that's what we're attempting to do. And I heard nothing about why there's never been an effort to get licensed, why there's apparently was no effort to get insured. These are not formalities. So obviously, if you decided to follow the law, if you didn't have a license, you wouldn't drive. Now, I understand that we have not hundreds, but thousands who like to disregard that, but it's still a law. And it may have taught you something that could have potentially prevented this. I remember all the films I had to look at about basically vehicular homicides or accidents ending in death. And the reason they used to show those was to try to communicate to people, cars can kill people. It's not a video game. It's, as far as I'm concerned, in this community, it's the #2 weapon at this time. It's certainly a lot more damage being caused by vehicles than knives or other things. So with the exception of firearms, this is it. So again, and frankly, I don't know exactly what to make out of I'm not going to give substantial weight to your statements about you thought you had to help your friend, but there's absolutely no reason to leave a scene of an accident, especially the one this horrific, without at least checking on people in the other vehicle. There's no reason for that. I don't have reason to believe that that would have resulted in something different here, unfortunately, but it's still an aggravating factor. I do balance that with the fact that you turned yourself in, which was a responsible thing to do, and you did so pretty promptly. Court will impose the following conditions of extended supervision. No new violations of law rise in level of probable cause. Payment of the court costs, submission of the DNA sample, payment of the surcharge. Those amounts are payable out of prison funds at the discretion of the department. Any balances payable on extended supervision, and the remainders be ordered converted to civil judgment. The no contact, or strike that, the restitution issue will be held open at this time. Is there any request here for no contact on the part of family of the deceased, Mr. Hubner?
Yes,
Right, well, you'll have to let me know who is going to be included in that.
I will.
You'll be able to cooperate with any treatment and counseling deemed appropriate by the department. Seek and maintain employment unless he's in school.
Your Honor, I think that the most appropriate person to put on that would be the child's mother, Aisha Bunch, I-E-S-H-A Bunch, B-U-N-C-H.
I'll be a no contact order as to her.
Thank you.
There'll be 394 days credit. He will not be eligible for any early release options under this sentence. In count one, the sentence is 18 years in Wisconsin State Prison, 12 years initial confinement, 6 years extended supervision. In count two, 8 years in Wisconsin State Prison concurrent, 5 years initial confinement, 3 years extended supervision. The credit will apply to both counts. Anything further?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, please review his appeal rights with him and file the form.